What do you make of it?
Well, there are a number of factors, David, and then for you to have a closer look at them, you want to decouple them in terms of the external factors and those within. And with the external factors, there are also even many. I've heard people talk about the tariff war. Of course, the tariff war is having a toll on the dollar because many people are feeling that the U.S. economy is likely to slow down. And so you see people not buying U.S. securities because they are looking at a possible slowdown on in the economy. And then apart from that, you would have heard that U.S. credit rating has been downgraded on the back of increasing public debt and then fiscal deficit. So you see that the dollar is declining on these fronts. And secondly, you would also see that, of course, if you go to the global geopolitical tensions, you realize that apart from the tariff war, there's the rise of the BRICS, and now we call them the BRICS Plus. So from 5 countries now they have 11 members. Now they have welcomed into the fold countries like Iran, countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and then you have Egypt in Africa, you have Ethiopia in Africa also joining the BRICS, and then you have Indonesia. So now there are 11 member countries, and they are trying to drive, in fact, even their own payment platform, which they call the BRICS Pay. And what they want to do is to rival the SWIFT. And you realize that some of these guys are also even disinvesting in their holdings of U.S. securities. And so you see that is also affecting the strength of the dollar, of course. And you realize that what is also happening in Ghana Cedi is the fact that we export a lot of gold, and gold prices are increasing. And as they are increasing, you realize that the revenue that we get in dollar terms are increasing. And another factor is that your cocoa is also seeing some price appreciation. And so all these factors are actually giving the city that momentum from the external side. And within the economy we look at both the fiscal and the monetary aspects. And in fact, let me mention that, yes, your gold prices are increasing on the world market. Cocoa prices are increasing. With the gold in particular, which has actually driven the gains that we are seeing, is that we've prepared ourselves to meet that opportunity, isn't it? By virtue of the gold board. Yeah. In fact, it even started under the PMMC. And so you see that when you ramp up, seeing the loopholes in terms of how people smuggle. In the past we were reporting different figures. What we report is different from what other countries report. So when you have the government putting in place measures that ensures that we get as much as gold that we as a country can export, you realize that when the prices are increasing, so you see that you are doubling your revenues almost, because if you look at the revenues as of December, it was around $214 million from gold export, and in April we recorded $897 million. That cannot be only price, isn't it? Because that is, deliberate policy to ensure that we actually get the benefit of the gold that we have in our soil, isn't it? So we have prepared ourselves internally to meet those favorable external factors. That's one. Point number 2 is that you realize that because we are under the IMF, obviously it provides that anchor, it provides that credibility to our fiscal side. And so you realize that the budget that the government has, I've heard people say that government is not spending. Yes, government is not spending. But what they forget is that at the time government presented its budget, the market has seen the potential deficit, isn't it? So that has been taken into consideration by market, those who want to actually base their decision on fiscal outlook, isn't it? So the budget has been presented. People have seen it. Yeah, you are not spending. Yes, that has some impact. But of course, the greater picture or the bigger picture is that market has already taken into consideration what government intends to spend, isn't it? And let's not forget that the fact that the government has trimmed its size, isn't it, also gives the market some indication that this is a clear indication of fiscal discipline, isn't it? So when you have that kind of consolidation on your side, and you have the IMF anchor, you realize that on the fiscal side, you tend to do very, very well. And when you come to the monetary side, you realize that the central bank recently maintained the policy rate, and the idea is that they want to be a bit cautious globally, of course, you see your CD is strengthening, but you, of course, you realize that some of the inflation momentum we get in Ghana is actually important, isn't it? Because yes, our export is exceeding our import, but that is because we're exporting most of the things that we don't consume, isn't it?
Yeah.
The things that we consume, we actually import them, and that's why the strength of the city is so crucial for Ghana. That most of the things you consume, that you're from your cars, electronics, your food, clothing, what have you import them. Yes, your export is exceeding your import, but you are exporting things you don't need on a daily basis, isn't it? So you realize that, of course, with imported inflation, if you're able to control inflation, it helps. And central bank is maintaining the policy rate very high, of course. That has inflation I'll talk about later for growth, isn't it? They are also sterilizing the liquidity in the city. They are mopping out the liquidity from the system through their cash reserve ratios and all of that. So all these things collectively are providing that kind of anchor. And let's also add that if you have all these factors in favor of the city, of course, if you have gold reserves, if you have the city strengthening against not only the dollar, most of the major currencies, those who want to speculate actually will not be betting against Ghana, because they've seen that the direction, the trend is actually on downwards, is against the dollar, isn't it? So when you are betting, you'd rather be betting against other currencies as opposed to betting on Ghana. And our own citizens would have to take a cue, because we tend to be buying the dollar and storing them because we think that the city will lose its value soon, isn't it? And that is why it's important that you actually fight inflation in the country, because you see, people tend to buy the dollars and keep because they are afraid of the strength of the currency internally, isn't it? Which is the inflation, reflected by the inflation. So when you fight inflation, it helps citizens to know that yes, the currency is stable enough to make decisions, to make planning around, isn't it? And even when they panic to come and sell them, it even drives the value of the dollar down further.
Well, let me acknowledge the presence on our phone lines of Charles